Welcome to the Sanity Project podcast, where you can awaken your mind to clarity and success even in today's life challenges. We're here to provide insights and solutions that will help you live a sane, healthy, and prosperous life. Here's your host, Joanne Victoria.
Hello, everybody. This is Joanne Victoria with another amazing episode of the Sanity Project podcast. You are here to discover a life of clarity, confidence, sanity, and entrepreneurial success. Our guest today is going to talk about money, and I love talking about money. She has written a book called Collect the Cash, and you small businesses out there know that you need to collect the cash in order to stay in business. Dee Bowden founded BCS Solutions, a revenue recovery company, from a personal desire to see small businesses learn to solve cash flow problems. Dee is on a mission to serve them and grow their financial bottom line by sharing her 5-step system. And Bee's going to talk about that in a minute. Dee has over 10 years of financial recovery experience in which she collected over, listen people, $10 million for several companies and government agencies. If you want to read more, go to her collectthecash.biz and see how many people that she got money from. Bee has been featured everywhere. Forbes Magazine, ABC News, NBC, Fox, CW, Microsoft, Success Magazine, Black Enterprises, and more. Welcome to the show, Dee Bowden.
Hey, thank you so much. Hey, thank you so much, Joanne. And then let me do a correction. Actually, my last name is Bowden, but
okay, sorry.
No, we're good. I just want to make sure people know, but yeah, it's Dee Bowden. But listen, thank you so much for the opportunity to be on this show. As I like to say, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to your fabulous listeners around the world. I'm Dee Bowden. I'm originally from Boston. I now live in Maryland. Fun facts about me. I love Ferris wheels, smooth jazz, and a good glass of red wine.
Well, as long as you don't do all three at the same time.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Then you're fine.
Right.
Well, I am really grateful that you are here because I remember you sending me a request. It came from somewhere, or did I go after you? I'm not sure. But when you're talking about money and how to get it from people who owe it to you and how to hold on to it and not feel like you're somebody in the Victorian era going around with the whip and chains trying to get what is due you.
Yes.
You know, it's really amazing how people make agreements. Even in my field, you send out a contract or an agreement, whatever they're called, and people sign it that, okay, if you don't pay, you owe, if you don't like it and you quit, I'm sorry, you still owe the money because this is what you're signing. It's in English for, the American people. And you sign that. Once you sign something, it's like going to the store and putting your loaf of bread on the checkout counter. That's a signature. And then once they put in that it costs between 99 cents and $6.99, you owe that money. They don't let you out of the store until you pay that money. And you pay all of it now.
That's true. The way I like to say it is this: it's like when people go to the store, especially in the world that we live in now. I always talk about it this way, and this is actually a great segue. So I say it this way: when people go to the store, they do one or two things: they either pay cash or they use a debit or credit card. I like to say that you don't get to leave the store until if you use your credit card or your debit card to pay for something, you're waiting for those two magical words: transaction approved, and you don't get to walk out of the store until your transaction actually is approved and you get your receipt and it proves. And there's usually, there's a code that shows that the money was withdrawn or will be withdrawn from your bank account. There's enough funds in your bank account. And if it's declined, you may be embarrassed, which happens to us, some of us from time to time, but you usually just take out another credit card or debit card and swipe it, or B, you go old school and you pay cash. Regardless, you're not leaving the store until you pay for your items. You're not paying for it. And so, to your point, Joanne, about talking about contracts, it's so funny because I feel like people don't honor contracts as much as they used to. I think you and I, and probably some of our listeners, were probably raised that, when you gave your word to do something, you actually did it. there's something about integrity. I feel like people have just kind of gone left about that. And so, I'm like you. I believe that when you're in business and you agree to have a contract and you say, we're providing these products, these services, I'm going to deliver the product or service on this date. I'm going to invoice you for this date. I'm going to expect to get paid on this date. You expect that sales process to go through. You have the sale, you have the contract, you have the delivery order, the invoicing, delivery, payment. Done. That's what you're expecting. You're not expecting that I have to get on the phone and go, hi, I'm Dee and I'm from such and such company and I need to talk to accounts payable, please. And then I have to figure out or begin what I say, how I describe business collections is three things. It's problem solving, customer service, and gratitude. That I have to already start going in on problem solving because I haven't gotten paid, even though we have a contract. And you said, if I deliver this product or service, if I bill you, you'll pay me on time. And so I have to end up doing this like a lot. And so I think this is probably a good time for me to begin the story of how did I get here with the story.
That's a good thing.
So about 15 years ago, I used to work for a small IT company outside of Boston, where I'm from. I got hired as a part-time collector to work Monday through Friday from 4 to 8. You know how it is when you get hired from a company. Welcome aboard, Dee. This is welcome to your space. Here's your cubicle. Here's your box, and here's your plant. And this is where you're going to be sitting. And these are your teammates. And so when I got hired by this small IT firm, they had $8 million worth of sales on the books, not in the bank. So they sold software licenses, IT services, all things IT. And they had some major players as customers like Genentech and Toyota and Honda and some other companies. And so they were like, here's your list of accounts. We've sold them all these services, but we haven't gotten paid. And your resume says you are effective at collecting, so we need you to do what you say. So I happen to be a believer, so I had a short prayer with God. It kind of went like this. Hey, God. Yes, Dee. How are you? You know what? Overall, God, I'm really good, but I got this $8 million problem and I need a clue, God, on what I'm supposed to do with this. Because in your word, you say, if you lack wisdom, you come ask you. So I'm asking you for a clue real quick on what I need to do. And when I got quiet, I say it jokingly, but that's kind of how it went. But I say, when I got quiet, what came up for me was that business-to-business collections, whether it's in the corporate space, the government space, or just in small business, it's problem solving because how come you didn't get paid? Customer service because you need to follow up on the transactions that were done and was something missing. And then I believe the secret sauce is gratitude. And people ask me all the time, Dee, what's up with the gratitude? So I say it this way: when you work in business, you're in business to do two things. Number one, to solve a problem and obviously to make money. But I also believe that when you stop and appreciate your customers, they are more likely to do more business with you. It's kind of like this. When we just came out of the holiday season, last December, most companies, if you were customers of theirs, they sent you a Christmas card or a holiday card or season greeting card to be correct. And they thanked you for being their customer. And they were wishing you great success over the holiday season. And they were looking forward to you being on board for 2021. What were they doing? Customer service. Thanking you for being the customer. Well, in the same vein, when I have worked with customers to recover money, I'm problem solving. I'm looking to figure out, like in this case of the story, I had an $8 million problem. I got my clue. And so I went to work and I collected $6 million in 60 days while working part time. Now, most people are like, oh my gosh, Dee, that's amazing. And it actually is. But here's where the story changes. And this is why I do what I do. On October 24th or 5th, the CEO of the company says, listen, you need to come downstairs and have a chat. Now, originally, Joanne, I thought we were coming downstairs because we were about to get a bonus check. Because I'm like, I was going to say,
that's what I heard in my head was money.
I thought so too. And he was like, no. So we come downstairs and he says, listen, I want to thank everybody for their services. That's across sales, that's contracts, that's order entry, order fulfillment, invoicing, and my lane accounts receivable. Collections. He said, but we've made an executive decision and we're closing the company. And this is a true story. You've got 30 minutes to go pick up your stuff and leave the building 2 months before Christmas. And so 100 people who used to work for a small business lost their jobs 2 months before Christmas. And when I recovered from that experience, I have always wondered, how is it that the comptroller, the CFO, the sales director, the sales manager, the collections person, how is it that nobody recognized that there was this outstanding AR issue and that they let it keep escalating? Now, I will never know. I was a part-time person. I will never know, what was the executive decision that brought them there. But all I know is that I was part of a collections team. I was given a list of accounts, $8 million of AR to collect. I did 6. everybody lost their jobs 2 months before Christmas. And so what happened to me personally is why I wrote Collect the Cash. It's because I keep looking at, as a small business owner, whether you're a solopreneur or you have a team, you have to know how many accounts you have, and you have to know what's the state of your accounts. How many of them are current? How many are 30 days past due? If you get to 60 days past due or 90 days past due, that's already a problem. That's the first thing I said. Collections is problem solving. Why haven't you been paid? Either you or somebody has to get on the phone and start problem solving. Did the invoice first of all, was the invoice prepared correctly? Did it get submitted to the right person or department? Was there any fulfillment issues? So, for example, if you ordered 10 sets of sneakers, did you get 10 or did you get 8? I understand I ordered 10. I only got 8. No, I'm not paying you for 10. I'll pay you for the 8, but I need you to shore up with me or square with me and get me my other 2 sets of sneakers. Well, same thing in terms of fulfillment. If you were supposed to prepare you were supposed to offer your services and there's something missing. Well, the customer might have said, I'm not paying you, but it's your responsibility to follow up and find out what's wrong. And then when I said the thing about gratitude was to thank them for telling you what's wrong or what's missing, so you have a chance to course correct. Most people don't have a problem with mistakes being made. It's more like, how can you course correct and fix this so we can actually pay you? And those are the 3 lessons I talk about in Collect the Cash. And then there's a little bit more, but we'll get into that in a moment.
Yeah, I recently signed up for a service to make it easier to work with my clients. And, you had a 14-day free trial, and then you signed up and paid your money. Well, they didn't make it easy for me to sign up and pay my money. And yet I wanted the service. And fortunately, I was able to speak directly to the person who created the business. And I told him what happened. I gave him a step-by-step overview. And I swear to God, he got right on it. And within 5 minutes, since he owned the service, and I know it's a small service and I didn't really care, it was really good for me and my clients. And he changed it. He adjusted everything that made it easier for me to purchase the service. He thanked me for doing that. And, of course I'm going to sign up with him because he made it personal. He was grateful for what I had to say, as minimal as it might be. And he said, if there is anything else, you let me know, because it's going into, whatever it was, it went to his IT people right away. And it was like, it's not the same as what you're doing, but that gratitude issue was right there. And that to me is important, because if he had fobbed me off, I would never have signed up. But
absolutely.
He acknowledged my problem.
Yeah.
And because I said, if you want people to pay, you better make it easier for them. And I'm wondering, what happened to the other people? And, I'm not zero acknowledged in IT. I understand, to a certain degree. I don't make code, but I know what I'm doing. So it was really amazing how kind he was and how smart he was, but I had experienced him before, and he talks as fast as you and I do. And I thought that was one of the reasons I liked his webinar. And I thought, he gets to the bottom line within 3 minutes. And this is what we do here. And I think that's important for people to know, that who are listening, is Dee is giving you ways to get to the bottom line quickly, but in a kind way. You made an agreement and you're not following it. What's going on? How can I help?
Exactly. And thank you for confirming, what I was saying in my story, because when people hear the story, they're like, are you serious about this? I'm like, I'm very serious about this. And the thing is, this story is a personal story. This isn't me making up something. This actually happened to me personally. And it's been one of those things for me that like most people, you get started in your career and you make mistakes, and then you realize, okay, I need to do a course correction real quick, because that approach isn't working. Let me figure out what does. And then through, some trial and error, I figured out that, like I said, business collections is problem solving, and problem solving, involves building relationships. It involves having a conversation. Sometimes it can be as simple as, can I get you a cup of coffee or a cup of tea? Can we go talk about this and let me understand? Because sometimes the reason things aren't resolved is that nobody will listen. everybody's like, well, I got to get my stuff out. I'm like, no, sometimes you really do need to like pause and just listen and let them tell you what's going on. I mean, back, when we do AR collections, it's always been, a spreadsheet, and we have, the name of the customer, the contract number, the invoice number. And we have a section called notes where you actually type in,
Sorry.
It's
But that
okay.
is just so funny that people don't get that that's what that's there for.
Yeah, it's for notes. It's for you to put, whether it's your notes or it's something that the customer said or something you need to follow up on. But, that little section called notes, I'm telling you, it's a great way to pay attention to the details, because even as smart as you are as a business owner, you are not going to be able to remember every detail about every customer. But if you put it in the notes section, you're like, oh, okay, they ordered 10 sneakers for me. I keep using the sneakers as an example because most people can follow it. Okay, they ordered 10 sneakers. Okay, something happened with the delivery that I only got 8. Okay, in the notes section, they ordered 10. I only have 8. I owe them 2. Okay, as soon as the next order comes in, I need to square up with them, get them the other sneakers, apologize for what happened, take responsibility, and make sure they know, this is not a normal occurrence. Whatever happened, but you own up to it. And then, but that's, I mean, again, I don't know, maybe it's just me, Joanna, maybe it's just old school. I just think that sometimes, I'll tell you what I really think. I think sometimes we've gotten away from the art and science of just picking up the phone and having a conversation. We're so used to punching on your phone, 144 characters. You can't always solve everything in a text. Sometimes you got to talk to people. Sometimes you just got to have a conversation. And sometimes you just have to take responsibility for the fact that you messed up. Fix it.
Yeah, you're not going to die. Nobody's going to kill you.
And say you're sorry. Just, it's like, we were taught as kids, if you're wrong, say you're sorry.
Those are the first words that anybody should say, even if they didn't do anything wrong. I just had a hit in my head, and I want to tell the people who are listening,
Please.
Who are looking for work or who don't understand exactly what is going on in this conversation, but are interested because Dee is such a great speaker. She's written a book called Collect the Cash. If you don't understand what AR is, it's accounts receivable. If you think you have the chutzpah and the kindness factor to help other people collect the cash in their company and looking to create a job for yourself, because I'm always looking to create jobs for people, listen to what she is saying, because this is really important. This could help you start another career. You never know, because no matter where you live, somebody is not getting all of their receivables in. So just listen here, take some notes, get her book, go to her website, collectthecash.biz, BIZ/book, and get yourself on another road. Because I know somebody's going, yeah, that's what I wanted to know, Joanne and Dee. What's going on? How can I create another career for myself or business? I mean, this is a business. You have created a business, right, Dee?
Absolutely. And it's absolutely a business. And the thing is, if you enjoy problem solving, it's a great thing to do. And here's the other thing: you can leverage this to speak, which is what I'm doing right now. You write books. You can actually train people on how to do this. And the other thing is that I think there's something in being in service to others. I mean, when I first this epiphany that I have today, it didn't start like that. I was working as a part-time person, but over the years, as I have evolved and gone back to school and grown, I keep looking at what happens in business. And, when I see, for me personally, when I see companies are closing, like last year, everybody who's listening, we all went through COVID. A lot of us are still we're still dealing with the fallout of COVID. But what my heart hurt when I kept seeing the companies that were closing, the large companies, the smaller companies. And I'm always wondering about, the sales that were made and the outstanding accounts receivable, the unpaid invoices that sat on the books. And they're like, oh, I'll get around to it. You know what? I'll get around to it. And I'll get around to it means that you left money on the table that you could have collected or had somebody collect for you. But, and I understand this part. And this is probably why people are like, why do you keep talking about gratitude? And I said, well, I understand it because asking a customer for money is hard because you don't want to ruffle the feathers. There's nervousness on if I ask this customer to pay me, even though you have a contract or an agreement that says you're owed money, you don't want to ruffle the feathers. But the thing is, I believe there's a way you can do it with, you don't have to ruffle the feathers. It's a reminder of, we had this agreement. I provided the product or service. I invoiced you according to what you requested. I'm just doing follow up. And whether it's you or somebody who does it, because I get this, not everybody has the art of negotiation. And most people don't want to do this part. But if that's not your gift, then you find somebody who likes doing it, and you go find your lane of brilliance and do that part and give it to somebody else. Because like in companies, that's why you have all the different departments. You have somebody who's really great in sales. The salesperson might be phenomenal in sales, but they can't collect. That's not their gift. The person who's really good in collections really doesn't like selling. But it's funny because you are selling, but not in the sense you're trying to get a quota. It's more like you're trying to persuade them to help you research your problem and get your payment. But I digressed.
That's okay. No, the digressions are usually powerful. I had something about sales in one of the posts that I wrote, and somebody commented that they were not a sale. Oh, I know what I said. I said that we all sell every day. Mm-hmm. And it's true. We sell ourselves at least. And this person responded with, I'm not in sales. I'm an artist, or something like that. And I said, and it was just really odd that she responded. Obviously, it was a hard thing for her to deal with because she didn't want to think she was in sales. But we sell ourselves all the time. So part of my response was, I said, I sell myself by podcasting, by writing, by talking, by answering questions. People get to know me. I'm selling myself. And that concept is not clear for everyone. And also what you're dealing with is money. And money, God, maybe they should never have invented money. Because, I mean...
You are hilarious. No, here's the thing. I know we can't say we never invented money, because the thing we can't, there's some things we can't do without. We air and, life and water and shelter and food. You need money. I mean, we don't get to do anything in this life without money. I think what it is, to go back to your comment about selling, I think why people sometimes have an aversion to the word, I'm not a salesperson, or I don't do selling, is because they've either had a bad experience with somebody who was super aggressive, and he or she was doing like most of us do. They probably had a quota to meet. They worked, for whatever industry, and they either had a quota to meet, they had a target to reach, whatever, and they were told, go get after. Well, in the same way in some vein of collections, more on the consumer side, I think less on the business side, but on the consumer side, absolutely. If you're dealing with a collection agency or people that have been given a list of accounts and told, okay, make these phone calls. I don't care what they tell you, just get the money. That part, yes, absolutely is an aversion to most people, and most people would be like, oh, please don't do that. Well, what we're talking about today is that, number one, you do sell, because even if you're an artist, if you're an architect, if you're a plumber, if you're an electrician, if you are a media person, if you're a manager, you have a company, you're a singer, you're a painter, you sell. Because here's the thing: if you don't talk, if you are in sales, because you are the only person, until you hire somebody, that can talk about your business, because nobody else is going to know what you do. Why do you do this? And why do you care so much? That's sales. You're telling a story. And hopefully what you're doing is you're showing the value of what you do. I happen to be selling, if you will, accounts receivable, and I'm selling why it's so important in business that you make sure the sale is complete and the money's in the bank. I'm selling the fact that I want you as a business owner to do absolutely well in sales. Sell your services, sell your products, but don't forget that you got to sell it, but you also have to get paid for it. And I'm selling to manage the non-sexy part, the back end part, but to make sure that it gets as much attention as the sales part does. Because in most companies and corporations, and you know this probably as well as I do, sales always gets highlighted. Oh my God, it's the sales department did da. And you talk about accounts receivable, and they're like, oh, y'all collect this money? Great. And I just believe that sales and AR go together. And I also believe that accounts receivable needs to be as celebrated on the back end as the sales is on the front end. And when you learn to marry the two, you realize that it's a complete cycle. Just like when you bought your cell phone. Everybody who's listening to me right now, you have a cell phone, and I can prove this. You have a cell phone, which means that somebody sold you a phone, whether you went into the store or you got a notice on your email that said, oh, you're eligible for upgrade. What do? They sold you the idea of getting a new phone. So you got the phone. Number two, you have a contract. How do I know this? Because the company, whichever carrier you have, invoices you every single month, and they tell you the terms and conditions, what's your phone, what's the product, how many bytes, et cetera, et cetera. Then order fulfillment. Before you left the store, the back of the phone, there was a barcode. They scanned it to make sure that it was into the system. And then accounts payable, the company, they bill you, accounts receivable, you pay them. Oh, they got this magic button that'll turn off your services if you don't.
I know, that's what I was going to say. They've got you. You made a commitment. You're paying them, and and then they let you know ahead of time. You owe us money in 2 days, or you owe us money in 7 days, and then it's up to 1 day. If you don't pay us by tomorrow, you're going to be cut off. Exactly. So the money that these businesses are attempting to collect is their money. It's your money, business owner. If you're listening, it is your money. If you have a problem with fear, you can either call Dee or call me for your fear. Call Dee about your money. She will help you. She will help your team. Or make sure you hire somebody to collect your money. Create that person on your team. Dee said that. Okay, so in our closing minutes here, what would you tell a business to do right now? Either it's a small business or a larger business. They're owed money. They don't know what to do. They're holding on to the walls. They've got their fingers just grabbing on, going, if I don't get this money, I'm going to fail. And then a lot of people have issues with money/failure or lack of money/failure. And what can you tell them right now to do?
Well, first thing I would tell you is, number one, take a deep breath. Let's just start there. Number two, before you panic about how much money is owed to you, do you actually have a tracking system that shows you how many customers do you have and what's the state of your accounts? You won't know how much money is owed to you if you have never tracked it. So before you start to panic, I would ask you to take a look at how many accounts are owed to you, and then number one, which accounts can you, because there are some accounts you already know. If I just place this phone call, I can get paid. So go after low hanging fruit, because you can get, there's some money if you or somebody in your company pays attention to your accounts, you already know. You have some customers. Yes. Some of them are more challenging than others, and it's going to be a minute before you get paid. Okay, those might be the 60 and 90-day ones. But how about the customers that it's a simple phone call? Hey, John. Hey, Sally, listen, it's coming toward the end of the month and I noticed I haven't gotten your payment. Oh my gosh, you know what? I'm so sorry. I was supposed to, whatever the story is. And then it's kind of this, what had happened was, you already know the what had happened was story, but you already know once you get to the other side of the what had happened was story, they're going to cut you a check. Here's what I would tell you. Do not be afraid to go get your money, to go ask for it. I mean, the thing is, you absolutely need to assess how many accounts are current. How many accounts are 30 days past due? I would be making phone calls for the current and the 30 days past due simultaneously. So that I could see traction, and I would be making notes in my spreadsheet. Okay, I made these calls today, and I talked to this person, and they said the check will be cut on this day, and then I would be following up, and I would put some dedicated time to recovering my money. That's what I would be doing. That's exactly what I would be doing. I would be doing dedicated time. I would be on the phones, making the rounds, tracking my information, making sure I submitted the correct invoice. I would be following up. I would be asking is there anything that is holding up this payment, and then finding out what it is. And being a detective, you got to detect what happened.
You have to listen. And you have to not be afraid of picking up the phone. I say picking up the phone. Nobody has those kinds of phones too much anymore. But whatever it takes for you to open and start a relationship and a communication line with your phone. It's difficult to see people in person now, and you don't want to just send them an email. Hi, you owe me $1 million and you're not paying me. I'd delete it. So
absolutely.
That's what people will do. So pick up the darn phone. I want to thank Dee Bowden for being here today. Her book is called Collect the Cash. You can find her book at collectthecash.biz/book. And I don't know what more to say. Just collect the cash, people. And I always remind my listeners, this is my tutorial. Re-listen to this podcast and take notes. Because you've gotten the surface, you may have gotten about 20 to 25% of what Dee is telling you. Re-listen to the podcast and you'll get closer to 80 to 90%. And then send this podcast to people in your company that are supposed to be collecting the cash. And if you know of someone who needs more help in collecting the cash, you can get in touch with Dee Bowden at collectthecash.biz. How's that for a wrap up, people? I want to thank Dee for being here today. She has been gracious to donate her time to your issues. And I thank everybody for listening. Take care, everybody.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Sanity Project podcast. Please go to AskJoanneVictoria.com to listen to more podcasts. Check out Joanne's coaching programs and get a free copy of her report, 5 Steps to Achieve Life-Work Harmony. That's AskJoanneVictoria.com. Take care, and thanks for being here.